PvP in Star Wars The Old Republic can be intimidating for new players or just players who are new to PvP in general but have played other aspects of the game. This can cause them to not perform at their best or feel like they are being bullied in some way when participating in PvP matches. Hopefully with this video, I'm going to clear up some of the top 5 mistakes that I see new PvP players make when it comes to this game, and hopefully not only will it elevate how you play, but it will make this type of content more enjoyable as you will have more knowledge and more confidence going into any Warzone, whether it's the 8v8s or arena gameplay. So without further ado, if you like stuff like this, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and let's jump right in. Alright, starting off here with one of the more easier mistakes that I see, and one of the ones that's pretty easy to just point out, is the misuse of your CC breaker. This is something that a lot of new players aren't used to really dealing with, especially when it comes to PvP, because in a PvE setting, you don't really use your CC breaker unless you really have to. Same goes for PvP, it's just a little bit different situationally. I can't tell you how many times I've seen players in Warzones hit their CC breaker right after being leapt to. Some other players will run abilities that have a root, so when you get jumped to, if you're being jumped to by like a guardian or something or a power tech, you get rooted for a second or two. I have seen people break that for no reason. This is what gets a lot of people killed. I have a guide to understanding CCs and stuns. It is about 2 years old, but the concepts are the same. Nothing has changed, so I think you get a lot of value out of it, so I'll link that below. But you guys don't want to use that CC breaker unless you know you're about to die and have DCDs to use. CC breakers have a 2-minute cooldown, so it's something you don't want to use when you don't have to, especially if it's later on in a fight or later on in the Warzone. You might not have it for key moments, so knowing when to use it is very important. So please guys, don't use your CC breaker on things like roots. Those are never going to get you anywhere. Only use them if you need to save someone, if you're a tank, or heal someone, obviously if you're a healer, or maybe for fun if you can, you just want to kill someone, great, break it, use it, whatever. But generally speaking, you don't want to use that ability unless absolutely necessary. The second mistake that I see a lot of in PvP, and this really just affects ranged classes, it's playing your class in melee range. Now, most abilities on ranged classes can be done from 30 to 35 meters away from the target, but here's what I see a lot of in regular PvP. So your commando, mercenary, gunslinger, sniper, sage, sork, right? I see a lot of people running up to their targets to do damage to them. This is what gets a lot of you killed 90% of the time. Now, there are a couple caveats here that I want to go over right away. Some people might be thinking, well, what about certain maps? Take Agent Hypergate for example. You gotta fight in mid, you have 2 ramps on either side that you can stay well outside of 30 meters, well within if you absolutely need to. You have the range to do damage, and if you are finding yourself in melee range, you have abilities to put distance between you and other melee classes. I'm thinking of Propulsion Round for the Commando, you have Force Speed on the Force classes, you have your rolls on your Sniper and Slinger. You have abilities to make yourself, not as easy of a target to pick off, especially when you come across good melee players. Most of your abilities can be cast while moving. There are certain specs you can take to make some of the casted ones available while moving. Sometimes that isn't always the case. If you're still worried about being able to cast as a range, don't worry, there are plenty of ranged guides out there that can help you with that. But generally speaking, you want to stay out of melee range. There really isn't a need for you to be up close and personal with your target at any point throughout the match. The only time where being in melee range, and this is a bit of a niche situation, could be viable is the tank guard meter. Like, you don't want to be outside of your guard range. If you're a healer and a tank is guarding you, you don't want to be outside of that, so maybe you got to be up close and personal depending on the situation, but that's really only if you have a tank. If you don't have a tank, you shouldn't be anywhere near melee range. Mistake number 3 that I see a lot is the inability to communicate in chat. And what I mean by that more specifically is being able to communicate effectively. Now tell me if you are one of these players or have experienced this. Let's say you're playing Nowhere Coast and you are jumped by 2 people at East and you die, right? And let's say that node gets captured. One of your teammates says, yo, why didn't you call this out? I've seen people say, I was stunned or I died, I couldn't call out in time. That is not a real thing. I'll be honest with you. All you need to do is communicate very quickly. If you're stunned, if you're jumped by 2 people, all you gotta do is jump in chat and say E2, right? East node, 2 enemies. That is a call out. That is sufficient enough for 99.9% of things. And if you're an experienced player or another veteran like myself, I'm always looking at the ops chat every 2 to 4 seconds when I'm PvPing to make sure I'm not missing a call out, because I will come help you if you just call out. Don't worry about your life in that sense. If you are getting jumped by 3 people, we know you're going to die, right? But if you can, survive, that's even better. But the idea of this is being able to communicate fast enough so your team can at least try to stop the node from being capped or to stop, enemy ground from advancing, right? Like, you gotta be able to give your team the opportunity to help you. So instead of panicking and just trying to fight and die, make sure you call out. This is very simple stuff. I know if some of you are watching this and you're like, this is no-brainer stuff, I see this still to this day, and I've been playing this game for 13 years. Mistake number 4 that I see a lot of people make is they don't run a lot of med packs, stims, or grenades. Now, I'm sure you're probably seeing something on the screen with me not using a stim in one of these because I needed B-roll for the background. But guys, get your stims, get your med packs. Med packs are honestly going to save you 100% of the time. They're going to be the difference between you winning and losing most 1v1s, and they are going to be the difference between you surviving and holding down a node for a little bit longer for your team versus getting absolutely rolled. If you are having trouble, getting to your med packs and your adrenals, a good keybind that I recommend you put your med pack on is E. It's right next to WASD, so if you're strafing or anything and you have different strafe binds, put your med pack at E. It's very easy to get to without messing up any other ability combo or rotation. It doesn't take a lot of brain power to use it, so I would just put it over on E. My bind, because I basically keybind every ability, is Shift 8 for my particular med pack because I run a Razor Naga, so all those buttons are at my thumb, so it's easier. But guys, use your med packs, use your stims, because those are going to really help you, especially when it gets to things like arenas and stuff. Like, why are you not using those extra little, I would say augments, if you will? And the last mistake that I see players in PvP make is they're not really having fun with it. They're taking it too seriously. Now, there was a time in this game where ranked PvP needed to be taken seriously if you wanted to get good rewards, if you wanted to get flares and this and that. All of that's gone now. Have fun with player versus player. I know you want to win games, I want to win games, right? But you're not going to win every single time. You're going to have some losses. So make sure to have fun with it and remember that it's just a game. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for the top 5 mistakes that I see players make in PvP. Obviously, with the last one, it's a little bit gimmicky. I want you guys to have fun with it, and I think if you do, you will become better at it anyway if you approach it with a different mindset. You don't have to get super into it. You just got to be able to do, honestly, the bare minimum, and you'll have a lot of fun doing it. It's why it's my favorite part of the game, and it's why no matter how many times I make videos on other parts of the game, this channel is going to be like 80% PvP, because to me, it's just a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it valuable. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one.